Hey friends, Allison here. What you're about to hear was recorded what feels like several years ago because time has no meaning anymore, but which was actually sometime this summer, I think July this summer. So a lot has changed, and also not all that much has changed. But if at any point you think, wow, that seems like an outdated reference, that is why. You should know that the next episode you'll hear has already been recorded, and the one after that is scheduled. So we promise to get back on a regular posting schedule with this new project you're about to hear, which should keep us occupied certainly until Outlander comes back, assuming it does, which we have no reason to doubt. And maybe well beyond. So, without further ado, one more thing. I listened to this after we recorded the next episode. So we all repeat ourselves, including making jokes. And I'm also mortified because at one point I accept Mr. Bingham as Mr. Bingley's name, which is just an affront. What is wrong with me? So when you hear me tell the same story next week, now you know why. That's all. Enjoy, and we will be back inside your eardrums really soon. Bye.
Oh God, my baby hands, baby.
You know, the best part about this is that we're recording this and also using Zoom at the same time. So we can see each other, which is, I have to admit, already
way better.
Very
so much
nice.
better.
Because I miss recording the podcast in person so much in a way that's like borderline irrational. I just want to be sweating in Julie's apartment, listening to Neil occasionally go like, "That's not accurate," or like some shit from another room. Like I want all of that. And instead we're all in our homes. Whatever. It's fine. We're being safe. We're being good. But it's very nice being able to see each other. And the point of that is, when we just all opened our shit right now, Janine held up his glass of water and flicked it.
Ow, fuck, I clicked it twice that
Did
time.
you just injure yourself flicking a glass of water?
Jesus.
You got
Oh,
what you deserve.
I got so excited about this bit that I was a part of. Oh, damn it.
Well, welcome to Podlander Drumcast and Outlander Podcast. I'm Allison.
I'm Julie.
That's Janine.
Hey.
And we... man, I just got such a rush. I'm really glad to be talking to you guys again in this form. We are here for our first episode of With Outlander. TM. TM, somebody from the Slack. I don't remember who.
I think it was Terry, but I'm not sure. But I will say that I'm so much happier with that than the alternative.
Than the other.
Yeah, I'm not going to even say it.
But because this is, if all goes well, this is going to be a lengthy project. So it has its own name and then a sub-name. Mm-hmm. This was a group effort between Julie and I, which I have to admit, when Julie and I come up with funny names or things, it's usually a little
Pretty
bit
good.
like this.
It's
Like
pretty good.
either who's Aaron? Either Janine just says something and it's funny, or Julie and I will like joke, and then we arrive at the final joke. Mm-hmm. And in this case, like that's how we got to live fan fiction, by the way. And
Yeah.
in this case, this is Sauced in Austen, Volume 1, Imbibe and Prejudice. I'm so tickled. Oh, I'm so tickled.
One night, it was right before I went to sleep, and I just texted Allison. I was like, Allison, sauced in Austin or Austin sauce, like awesome sauce.
Oh.
And she's like, no, I like sauced in Austin. And then she's like, Imbibe and Prejudice. And I was like, that's it.
Yep.
We're done. We're done here.
So
Maybe we don't even have to record. Just drop
That's
it.
it.
Bye.
Done. We're done. Thank you. Send the awards directly to our individual homes. We're all
Yes.
still self-isolating. After this, presumably we'll do Smensibility.
That
Just-
is fun.
That was just off the top of my head. But I do like the sound of it. Just say it. It was fun. Say
Smarshability. I like this. This is like in line with us just,
Fucking
having great
around.
enunciation.
Yeah.
Smensibility.
You know what this makes me realize too, though, and
What?
kind of just to take it a step back, since we're getting back to basics here and are looking each other in the face, and
It's
I feel
so
that that's very important. I'm also drinking a Miller Lite today, like taking it back to basics.
Yeah, old days.
We were just talking about this this weekend, how we haven't had a Miller Lite back on the show. So this is nice. We are
Yeah,
getting back to
we're
basics.
doing it all.
Yeah.
This means we can do Dudelander.
Oh shit.
Yeah. Imbibe and Prejudice Dudelander.
I mean, Dudelander with Outlander because we can do
Oh,
this.
because we can see each other's faces.
Yeah,
Yeah,
man.
because that was the
Yeah.
reason we didn't want to do it. Because part of the reason is we got to see the grimaces from Kevin.
Yeah.
Kevin.
Yeah.
All right.
Although,
I'm sorry.
we
I
won't
derailed.
be able
I
to
derailed.
have Janine get locked in the bathroom, though.
Listen. I
Was
can-
a throwback.
That was a throwback. But also, listen. Never say never.
Yeah, but if you get locked in your bathroom now, Janine, we're going to have to come break into your apartment to set you free.
One of you should actually have a set of my keys. So
Yeah, you should probably... Actually, you know what? You know who should have your keys is the Lorises.
Yes, they're right across the street.
it's true.
Yeah,
It's true.
but if you want to make a separate set of keys, like, obviously, gladly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll
Plus,
take
Julie and I are going to go to actual war over who gets to cat sit Jasper. So,
Oh, wow.
actual war.
There
This
will
is great.
not be a battle.
Yeah, I'm going to
I have already started the campaign for Hearts and Minds.
I started already. Okay, so we're going to kick off
Yes, how's this
Imbibe
working?
and Prejudice. Austen, Volume 1, Volume 1, Imbibe and
I
Prejudice.
imbibe in prejudice.
By talking about our Pride and Prejudice journeys with a very special main event that we're very excited about. So what I want to know from both of you is, like, what is your relationship to Pride and Prejudice? Have you read it? How many times? Have you seen it? Which versions? Which ones do you like best? What's your favorite? Like, all the shit. Just tell me your Pride and Prejudice thoughts.
Janine,
Starting-
go, because yours is going to be way shorter than
Gonna be
mine
very
and
short.
Allison's.
Tell us.
Yeah.
Don't tell us. This is very important. Don't tell us what you think Pride and Prejudice is about.
Oh, yeah.
Perhaps we'll return to that later. What we want to know is just like, have you seen it? Have you read it?
Yeah. So my initial reaction to all of that is like, you can have so many thoughts about this because I've only seen the Keira Knightley one.
So you have seen
But you have seen
Yeah,
it.
but
Okay.
that was like when it came out, and I obviously was seeing it because I have a huge crush on Keira Knightley, and I don't particularly remember much except the rain scene,
Yeah. Well. yeah.
which is good. But that is, and then otherwise, apparently Jane Austen is fucking everywhere, and I apparently don't even realize how often I interact with it. So that's my experiences with
Jane Austen will fuck anywhere.
You know what I always did here? She was thirsty.
She went. She like dressing room of a low rent department store. Get it. McDonald's bathroom. Ready.
Mile High Club, she was the first member.
She was the first, and it was a hot air balloon.
Yep.
Yeah. With
Or
an
a
arrow
blimp.
knot. With an arrow knot.
No, I guess blimps wouldn't have been invented.
Not
yet.
even a blip, a dirigible. Let's
Also, y'all are going to hear a lot of background noise today. Congratulations, people who love ASMR. I need to tell you that moments before we begin this podcast, the elusive Tom, my partner, dropped a light bulb, and it, like a fancy light bulb, a very delicate glass, and it exploded and went everywhere. And poor Janine and Julie heard me go, "Oh my God!" and like heard the terrifying kaboom of the light bulb breaking. So then we had to stop so that we could start cleaning up. So if you hear like trash bags and shit, that is Tom. Sorry, deal with it. My cat is precious. She
It's
can't-
awesome. No, you got to clean it up. You,
You
got to
gotta
deal with it.
You got it. And he's being a champ.
Thanks,
He's taking
Tom.
care of it on his own. Anyway, Patty, as they say. Okay, so that's it. You've seen the Keira Knightley one, and you're surprised it's such a big deal?
Yes. Often.
Cool. All right, Julie, what about you?
I think that I read Pride and Prejudice for the first time when I was in middle school. So I think I've read the book twice. I've seen the A&E series from beginning to end twice, all the way through. I have not seen the Keira Knightley version. Mostly because I'm one of those old codgers that's like, why improve upon perfection? So I just never did. I love Jane Austen. I love how funny her writing is. And I think that I didn't really get how funny it was when I was a kid. And now as I'm older, I get how just really arch and hilarious all of her social commentary is. So I would say big fan. I think I tried to read Persuasion once and couldn't really get into it. But I've seen Clueless. So I've seen Clueless and the new Emma, which was amazing.
It's so good.
It's so great. You know what, Aaron? You would love it.
Yeah.
The new one that is it Hulu?
Wait, it's I'm not sure where it is right now. It might be on Hulu. It was released in theaters and then promptly released VOD because it came out in like February. So like a lot of things that were still supposed to be getting box office money, they rushed its VOD release. So we watched it. God, I don't know.
It's
in
so
February
good.
At some point, February, March.
Janine, I don't know if you know this, but the movie Clueless, do you remember Clueless from the 90s?
Yes.
That is Emma. That the story of that movie is the story of Jane Austen's Emma.
A pretty faithful adaptation of Emma, actually.
No shit.
Yes.
Man, that's
Yep,
pretty...
one of the great Austen adaptations.
Like I said, apparently I interact with Austen all the time, and I don't even realize it. So
She's a fucking badass.
okay.
Janine also recently saw the Legends of Tomorrow episode called Seance and Sensibility, so there's that too.
Yeah, but that's more like...
That's a good name,
I
though.
mean, that was a good Jane Austen cameo, and from what I understand, but also Bollywood. Fucking great.
So I think if we get to Persuasion at some point, it should be Persuasion. Or like... libation.
I'm gonna...
Perlibation.
I'm totally going to have to workshop this on my own, in the dark, staring up at the ceiling and just muttering words to myself until I hit it, and then text.
And then Emma should be ma.
Like a laugh. Like,
We'll have to workshop ma. We'll have to workshop it. All right, Julie, anything? I mean, what about the rest of the Austen verse? I know for a fact that you've seen Sense and Sensibility because you watched it.
Oh
with
yes,
me.
of course. I've seen the Emma Thompson Sense and Sensibility, and was there a Gwyneth Paltrow one?
Emma.
That was Emma. What was the other Sense and Sensibility? There was another Sense and Sensibility, right? That was directed by Ang Lee, maybe.
Ang Lee did direct that set.
Okay, so that was the Emma Thompson one. Was there another one?
There's a miniseries, an Andrew Davies miniseries from, I don't know, 2008-ish.
Yeah, no, I didn't see that one. And I
there's-
know that Sanditon was just on PBS, Sanditon, but I did not watch that. I would just
That's an
say
interesting case.
I'm a general fan of her work, and I'm happy that people still talk about it because it's really fucking good.
It is the shit.
Yeah.
Okay, me. So I have not read all of the like partial novels. That's where we'll start. So like I haven't read Love and Friendship, and I haven't read whatever the story that the movie Love and Friendship is based on, which is not Love and Friendship. I haven't read that one. It's confusing.
This is getting deep.
Love and Friendship is fucking great. We will maybe get there someday. It is my very favorite Kate Beckinsale performance, a thing you wouldn't think to say all that often, but it's a very good little movie from 3 or 4 years ago.
I'm a big fan of hers.
Well, she's good. She's good. She likes a vampire.
I finished that Underworld set of movies. Can't say trilogy. They get worse and worse and worse. She's so dedicated to that.
Well, she loves a vampire. I read Pride and Prejudice for the first time. I think I was also in middle school. It's a little tough for me to say. Which is also when I saw the miniseries in high school. I have seen the Keira Knightley one, but only once. I have not seen the Laurence Olivier.
Me neither.
I have seen Death Comes to Pemberley.
Oh, yes, I have too seen Death Comes to Pemberley.
I have not seen the Lizzie Bennet Diaries, which I'm very excited about. I have seen Bridget Jones's Diary.
I've seen Bridget Jones. I see, Aaron. Once again, that's an adaptation of Jane Austen.
It's a again fairly faithful adaptation of like obviously contemporary, but the like structure of it similar in shape and feel to Pride and Prejudice.
Yep.
I haven't seen that either. But
Which is hilarious because Colin Firth plays Darcy in both.
yeah, that
Yes,
is where my head was at. Where I was like, so Colin Firth is just pulling double duty there?
Oh yeah,
Yeah, oh, yeah.
quite intentionally.
Yeah, because
Okay.
the A&E came out years before. Well, not years, but a couple of years before Bridget Jones' Diary.
years.
Was it when did the A&E one was 92?
Something like that, 92, 93 in the 90s. And then Bridget Jones, when did that come out?
Like 90s. That was when I was in
Jones's
college,
Diary.
right?
I'm Google 2001. Googling it, bam. It made $281.9 million. Yeah.
Jane Austen stories pulling the fucking cash because they're hilarious.
They're very funny. And Hugh Grant is in that one, and he's also in Sense and Sensibility. I love the Ang Lee Sense and Sensibility. I have the screenplay, which comes with Emma Thompson's shooting diary in the back of it, and it is a gripping read. I love it so much. I love that movie. I've seen that miniseries. I have seen most of Sanditon, but didn't finish it. But that's weird because Jane Austen wrote like 5 minutes of Sanditon and then died. And they do everything she wrote in the book in the first episode. So then somebody finished it. It's a little weird. What else? I love Persuasion.
Is Persuasion the one about the poor girl that ends up with the rich family?
That's Northanger Abbey.
Thank you.
But
I've only read part of that one, and I never finished it.
Northanger Abbey is fucking hilarious. It's early Austen, and not everybody loves it as much as I do. But basically, it's Jane Austen defending novelists while making fun of people who read too many Gothic novels. And there is an audiobook version that's one of those adaptations where they basically turn it into a play. But the narration of Northanger Abbey is so important because of the Austen commentary and because of the stuff that's going on in the main character's mind, where she's like working herself up into thinking she's in a Gothic novel when she's not. And Emma Thompson is the narrator, and it is so funny. It is so funny. I don't love Mansfield Park. I have never seen an adaptation of Mansfield Park, and I also have never seen an adaptation. Persuasion is the one that's the least funny.
Is that the one where she almost falls off a cliff or whatever? What's the one where she almost falls off a fucking cliff and the dude saves her?
I don't think that happens in Persuasion.
Up.
It was on Not Up. Hilarious.
Somebody goes like, "Catch me!" and jumps off. An idiot goes, "Catch me!" and jumps off a hill in Persuasion, and then doesn't get caught and is injured.
Maybe there was.
This is a woman who is persuaded to break up with her fiance because it's an unsuitable marriage, and then is still pining for him years later and re-encounters him, and what happens. Anne Elliot, she's great. There's apparently a very, very good adaptation of that starring Sally Hawkins, who I fucking love. So maybe we'll get to that eventually. Point being, I've read most of Austen, and I really love her, and I think she is so funny. And I have seen this A&E miniseries many times.
Okay.
Many times.
Okay.
What? Here's a question for you, since you've seen it more often than I have, because it's a you got to make an investment because it's several hours.
Yeah, 6 episodes, all about
1 hour
long.
each, right? Yeah. What is it that brings you back? What was going on in your life when you watched it? Like what? Because I have two very specific times that I watched it, and I know like why it was so alluring at that time, or like I just wanted to see it. But it's so interesting that somebody would watch a 6-hour miniseries like more than 3 times.
Well, people watch TV shows over and over again.
Is this like a Kelly and Fraser situation?
Sort
like a
of.
Comfort Sound, like a West Wing situation?
Yes, it was. It was my default background noise for a while. But I also there's something about it. I don't know. It's funny.
Yeah.
It's so funny, and it's that like decent people get good things despite lots of shitty things happening.
Right.
And shitty people, it's not so much that they get what they deserve as like they keep
lose
on
status.
doing their thing.
They all lose status somehow. They all.
Or are like forced to deal with the fact that these people that they resent are thriving, which for them is punishment enough. You know what I mean? But I just...
That made me think of the scene between her and Lady Catherine.
Yes. Lady Catherine.
Oh.
What a good...
Oh.
I know.
That scene is fire.
It's great. Also, I have seen and read Pride and Prejudice and Zombies. That book is a hoot that you can read once and then be done with it. The movie is hot garbage. Can't wait to watch it and talk about it, guys.
I read the book. I'm not looking forward to
They
watching that
actually
one.
made that movie?
Oh, they
Yeah,
made that
yeah.
movie, and they made it completely wrong. They made it very serious. It is.
The book is hilarious.
The book
'cause
is so funny.
The book knows exactly what it's doing.
It's a little bit like World War Z. The book, World War Z, very fascinating read. The way they approached it in that goddamn movie, fucking Christ.
Well, the thing that's so great about Pride and Prejudice and Zombies, the book, is that it is just Pride and Prejudice. Like, the text of Pride and Prejudice is in there. So you are reading Pride and Prejudice. It's just that there are also zombies.
That just kind of occasionally appear.
And it's
And they're just something
really...
that
And then
they
they
deal with them.
And then he
Right.
writes it in the style of Jane Austen. And so all of the like zombie attacks and the way that their lives have changed because of the presence of zombies is all written in that style. Whereas the movie is like restoration comedy, but also a zombie movie. And they just don't really give a fuck about the Pride and Prejudice part,
Terrible.
which is why people liked it in the first
Terrible.
place. There's
Terrible.
one... there are two redeeming qualities of Pride and Prejudice and Zombies. One I will tell you now, specifically you, Janine. The other I will not, because it's just fun to experience it. So the first one, is that a character, not Mr. Darcy, but a very good character in the book, is played in the movie by Matt Smith.
Oh.
And he is very funny and good.
Oh my God. Is he who I think he is?
Probably?
It starts with a C.
Yes.
Nice.
He's very funny. And
That's
then
the funniest part in the book.
The other thing that's good is the person who plays Lady Catherine and the way that she looks and the way that they approach her, which will tell you. Janine, that doesn't mean anything to you, but Julie,
I am.
You'll see when we get there.
All right, I'm into it. I'm into it.
Anyway, so that's mine. I'm like a big fan. Julie and I had a very when it came. So that was your question, is like why I revisit it. So I hadn't seen it from when I was in high school until I don't know 5 or 6 years ago.
And that's when we watched
When
it,
we
right?
watched it, yeah, and we have told the story on the pod before, but Julie and Tom and Neil and I Tom was visiting from Portland, and we were snowed in. It was like a huge snowstorm, like city shutting down snowstorm. Tom was stuck here. Julie's office was closed, like the whole nine. And we got very stoned and watched.
Talked those dudes into watching
We
Pride
did.
and Prejudice.
Well, we played. This is another important thing. I own a card game called Marrying Mr. Darcy, where you can shoot the moon by becoming Jane Austen, basically, but you have to try to marry the right person.
the only way to win.
You have to win these like qualities and things. It's fun. It's a funny game. There's also a Zombies expansion pack, which I also own. We were playing that and then got super stoned and decided to watch Wet Hot American Summer, which somehow only I had seen. And then somehow we talked them into watching Pride and Prejudice. And
The A&E version.
the A&E version.
by the way, you guys. So
So
it's
we
a full
watched-
6 hours.
So we watched the first 3 hours one night and then the next 3 the second night, I think. And at one point, I think it was at the beginning of hour 2, Tom and Neil were like begrudgingly watching, but enjoying it. They're open-minded chaps. And at one point during the second episode, right at the beginning, Neil paused it and said, "Wait, is this supposed to be this funny?" And we were like, yes!
Yes!
You see, the problem is you see a long skirt and you assume it's a drama. No! Jane Austen is fucking hilarious. It's a very fun memory for me. So anyway, after that, I just sort of fell back in love with it. I was in an Austen book club for a while, which sort of reintroduced me to some of her work, which I had read, and I've always loved Sense and Sensibility. That's one of my favorite movies. So, and that had been on my mind because of Alan Rickman's passing. I wrote about it a lot around the time he died, and
Colonel Colonel
Brandon. He's
Ooh.
so fucking good in that
Ooh.
movie. He's so good.
Dreamboat.
Yep, total. Just staring. It's good.
He will cross the moor in a rainstorm to carry you home.
He will. Although that is a different character.
Oh my God, I thought that was him.
No.
Doesn't he take Kate Winslet?
That's Willoughby.
Oh my God, I thought that happened. I thought Alan Rickman
It happens in Sense and Sensibility, but it is not Colonel Brandon. It's Willoughby.
What the fuck?
Colonel Brandon rides all through the
Yes,
night
yes,
to
that's
get her
right.
mother.
You're right. All right.
Give me
See,
a task, Miss
it's all bleeding
Dashwood, or I
together.
shall go mad.
this is happening at the right time to get me back into
Yeah.
Austen
Yep.
land.
Which, by the way, I've also seen and read Austen Land. Decent read, terrible movie.
Oh,
Guys, there's a lot
that's
of...
the one that where the gal time travels and lands there, right?
No, it's there. That's the one where there's like a retreat for rich white ladies where you go pay to pretend you're in a Jane Austen
That
novel.
sounds fucking terrible.
The book was fine. The movie was bad, and they had Carrie Russell too, and it was still bad.
I saw that.
It's bad.
I don't know if it was good or bad, but
It's
Carrie
bad.
Russell was in it, and I liked her.
I mean, Carrie Russell. Do you have any idea how hard you have to work to make something that Carrie Russell is in bad? It's like
Hard.
you've already got like a plus 100 cheat code. If it's
Seriously.
bad, you've seriously screwed up.
Yeah, Carrie Russell can pretty much be put into anything.
Oh yeah,
And,
Carrie
like,
Russell can do anything,
Yeah, that's like she's like a salt.
including you know what else she can do? Get it?
Yeah.
Get it?
Oh,
I forgot to bring my fan in here like an idiot.
Mine's too far
Here,
away.
Julie, hold on, I
can't
got
reach
you.
it.
Just for me.
Yeah, yo. Look at that.
Thank you. Oh my
Smart.
God, it's so refreshing. I am wearing my fucking caftan today, though.
Ooh,
So.
is that a new one?
No, I've had this one for a while.
Do you have multiple caftans?
I have this caftan, and I have 2 muumuus, and then I have house dresses.
That's the house dresses I'm thinking of.
Yeah, I have like 3 house dresses, one of which is super baller, and I got it in a estate sale. But the rest of them are all just like, if I see it somewhere, I'm like, does that look like something Mrs. Roper would wear? If the answer is yes, I immediately buy it.
I'm on the hunt for my perfect caftan. With
Here's the trick,
guidance
though.
of Miss Keenan, Sweet Nothings NYC,
Let me tell you a secret, though.
please.
They're all perfect. Because when you get one and you put it on and you realize what you've been missing, a whole new world.
Don't you dare close your eyes. Okay, noted. What I do have that I'm rocking and enjoying is a summer robe. Makes me feel fine. It is made of cotton that is fine. Got it from Target for $30. Anyway, I'm enjoying my summer robe.
Nice.
Summer robe.
I tried to put on my winter robe the other day just to swan about. It's not appropriate right now.
I put mine on this morning because I was like in a rush to start doing this citation work that I'm doing and yada yada. And I was like suddenly sweating. I was like, "Am I stressed?" And I was like, "No, because I'm wearing a goddamn fucking winter robe and
too
it's
hot.
80 degrees outside.
Too
I'm dying."
hot. Apparently, I'm in a singing mood because I also almost went suddenly sweating because of my robe choice. It's heavy and terry. And
It soaks up my sweat.
Suddenly sweating. I'm so sorry, Jasper, that you have to see this. That's all I got.
Jasper's my friend.
Y'all, we did all 3 of us dropped in on the drunk Slack Zoom happy hour that they're doing, I think most weeks at this point.
Yeah.
We all dropped in on it this week, and Mr. Janine Pagel had set up a Jasper cam. Jasper had his own camera. So it was like Zoom window, a whole bunch of very nice ladies and other persons, and then a cat
Jasper.
with his, and it said Jasper.
Jasper.
And he was like, he knew that was his angle. Like,
Oh, he
stayed
did.
on
He
his
was
mark.
finding
he
his
knows.
light.
He knows.
Yeah,
He was finding his light.
yeah.
It was great.
He's gonna be a cinema cat. I think. He's never gonna be on set. I won't let that happen. But
No, never.
he could do it.
So basically, what we're gonna do, folks, is we're gonna start with the A&E Pride and Prejudice, and then we're gonna imbibe in prejudice until we can't take it anymore. Who knows? Maybe we'll watch all of the things that we just listed. We're for sure watching Bridget Jones's Diary because that's just a treat.
Of course.
Totally.
I've also read that book. That book is really, if you haven't read it, that book is fun, and it's filthy. Filthy. Also, Hugh Grant and Colin Firth are both mentioned in it, and
really?
then
They're in the movie.
and then they're in the movie, but as characters and not themselves. Anyway, Hugh Grant is also very good in Sense and Sensibility, by the way. Dreamboat.
That scene with him and Emma Thompson in the parlor.
It's so good. It's so good. It's one of my favorite movie moments
fucking
just
good.
ever. Anyway, so we're starting with the A&E Pride and Prejudice. We'll have some guests along the way. If you want to watch with us, it is on Hulu. So if you have a Hulu subscription, you can watch. You can also buy it on DVD for not a zillion dollars. And I think you can also rent it through like iTunes and Amazon and those kinds of places. But if you've got Hulu, you're covered. So the next time you hear us, that's what we'll be doing. We'll be watching the first episode. But for now, what I want to know, and I'm going to hand things over to Julie because she's the expert. I'll assist, but she's the expert. What I want to know is what Janine thinks happens in Pride and Prejudice.
Well, since he's seen the Keira Knightley version, he probably has a little bit of an idea.
I have a baseline.
Okay, so let's walk through it.
Okay.
What do you know about Pride and Prejudice?
Really quick, Julie, can you explain why it is that you're the authority on this?
Oh, I'm sorry. I just assume that all the bitches that listen to this also listen to Maria Solved. So I do another fun, just kind of silly comedy improv podcast called Maria Solved, where I make people who've never seen a movie tell me what they think that movie is without having ever seen it. It's pretty awesome. Maria Solved, as in how do you solve a problem like Maria, if you want to look it up. It's pretty funny. Janine, has actually done this before when he tried to Maria solve season 1 of Outlander because he had only seen like 2 episodes. He actually did a pretty good job.
Yeah, there were more sheep in my version, which I think was okay.
Yeah. Well, I think that's just more realistic. You don't have enough time to really focus on the sheep in the show. They're too busy with other shit.
Sing me a song of a lass who is
But please know that every time some iconic scene is happening, there is a sheep somewhere nearby.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Coincidentally, that's also true of Pride and Prejudice.
Yes, there's always a sheep near. They need that wool.
See, this is why I feel so confident in my ability to describe this show, because I already have a baseline of sheepness.
All right, here we go.
Suddenly, sheep herd is walking beside me. Okay. So, point is, listen to Maria Solved. Julie, if you ever need a bonus episode, just go ahead and kick this out too. Why not? Both feeds.
I'm trying to figure out how to record it in lockdown, and I haven't been happy with what's going on, so I'm taking kind of a break from it. But trust, the wheels are turning.
Okay.
They're a-turning.
Good. So here we go.
All right, so Aaron.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Janine.
Janine, who's Aaron?
What do you factually know about Pride and Prejudice? Like, do you know character names? Do you know...
I know Mr. Darcy.
Okay.
And that's probably not because of me watching the show. It's because that is such a pop culture reference these days.
Yeah.
Ubiquitous, for sure.
I don't know the main character's name.
Okay.
I don't know anyone's name, frankly. I know that it's about someone, and this is actually, I don't actually know if this is true of this show, of this one. No, yeah. I know that it's this main character, she is slated to marry someone, and that, or is trying to figure out getting married, and Mr. Darcy is somehow not the choice, but is the choice that she would prefer. And
Okay. So
that's what I got.
That's great.
Oh, great.
So let's start at the beginning. You
Okay.
can keep this as abbreviated as you want.
Okay.
Give us an elevator pitch of Pride and Prejudice. Whatever names you come up with, whatever plot points you come up with, they're 100% correct as far as we're concerned.
Okay.
So if you got into an elevator right now with Emma Thompson, and we're like, Emma, help me make this, what would you say to her?
And you're 100% confident.
Yes.
You know
Of
all
course.
of this.
You're an
for
expert.
Sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Emma.
I'm sorry, don't you mean ma?
Ma. I can't do that. I can't keep that up. So, Emma, I got this great idea I have this story that I want to tell. It's really awesome. So it deals with kind of Regency, England, and we're dealing with problems of like status and hierarchy. And we open up on this woman who's near marrying age. We'll call her Elizabeth, but I'm not going to keep up with Elizabeth, so we're going to call her Betty. And not Beth, just Betty. We're going with Betty. So
Okay.
Betty is thinking, hey, I am of this marrying age, and my family is pressuring me, and I have some sisters who are all getting married. One who's married, one who's younger. And the married sister is not very happy. And I am about to be married, and my younger sister is like carefree and wonderful and makes a lot of art, usually with crochet, sometimes with stitching. She's like, what do we call knitting with knitting needles? Because there's so much wool because we're actually near a sheep farm, and so so she's carefree and arch, and that's like I feel like I have to represent. I'm speaking for Betty right now. Betty is feeling like I need to represent what it could be to be a woman in this time, right? Like I'm carefree and courageous, and I don't feel like I should have to be married. Like my family's trying to marry me off to somebody, and the person they're trying to marry me off to, big giant dick, right? Betty is like, I don't like this guy, right? He's got all this money and land, and that's apparently very important. But the thing about him is that he's just a piece of shit. Full stop. There's no other descriptions for this guy. He's just like a piece of shit. I'm sure he's probably quite nice in his own right. And we have to have some humanizing components to this, right? Because this is a full story, and we really got to get these characters fully fleshed out. But in the end, he just doesn't do it for me as Betty.
You know what? That's not exactly wrong.
So Betty... Betty and trying to figure this out, because we have to. This is about kind of the preamble of the story, where we're getting the sense of the family, and walks around the parlor and how that's the thing, and they do it all the time. It's Regency, go with it. So Betty and her sister Susan are her younger sister. Her older sister is named Delilah.
Okay.
And so Delilah's married.
So real quick, 3 sisters total.
3 sisters total.
And are both parents living or no?
Her father's dead, in fact.
Okay.
Okay.
Her mother's alive, which is, I think, kind of where this is so important that she gets married into the right type of family, because they don't. I mean, they're living off their old wealth, and now that their father's gone, and he's actually not even like full dead. It's just he's missing, and that's like, which makes.
I'm sorry, hold on. He's not even full dead?
Whoa.
We're talking Regency England, like.
Where the fuck is Dad?
Yeah,
Exactly.
where is he?
Exactly. We don't know, and that's why you have to say, well, he's dead, kinda.
Oh,
Right?
so this is like a
Social mores situation,
might
like we
as
all
well
just
be dead?
Yeah,
we all just treat him as if he's dead.
Yeah, because what's going to happen if he comes back? We're all going to be pissed off at him, and
Quite
someone's
the
probably going to kill him.
scandal.
So, like,
Quite the scandal.
Scandal.
very big
Scandal.
scandal. And scandals are the things we have to avoid, which is
Yes.
unfortunate for this family, right? Regency, go with it. So, so this is a challenge, right? So, Susan and Betty.
Pause for just a second.
Sure.
So just so we're all clear,
Yeah.
when we make the T-shirt for Austen and Austen Volume 1 Imbibe and Prejudice, it's going to say Regency. Just go with it.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Cool. We're clear.
Continuing on.
Yeah. So Susan and Betty are out for a walk amongst the town, and they're together. They see suitors looking because in a way Betty's kind of been called for because of. Did I tell you the name of her?
No,
her
please
would-be
do.
husband? Her would-be husband's name is Donald. Just to like underscore how we don't like this person.
Okay. And what's his social standing? Is he a lord? Is he a baron? Is he a wealthy businessman? Is he?
He's a very wealthy businessman
Okay.
who's been granted a barony status, and so it's kind of one of those things where you don't really know what he does. He just like businessman means he got some sort of loan from his father, and then was given some sort of political title,
Right.
which allowed
So
him to do other stupid shit.
Not of noble birth, but made so much money that the king granted him lands and title.
Yes.
So he is
yes.
both a commoner and a member of the gentry.
Yeah. He's
Great.
he's like a day walker in that regard, right?
So really not.
You dork! I'm sorry. This is very serious. He's a daywalker, absolutely.
Yeah.
So not born into it, not part of the system.
Yeah.
Not okay.
Okay.
Which
Well, he has become part of the system, but wasn't born into it.
Yeah, and
Okay.
which is why, from a family perspective, this is such this is maybe a good deal for Betty's mom. Betty's mom's name is Mrs. Deloitte, and so
Hold on.
So we have
But what's
Susan
Lizzie's
Deloitte,
name?
Betty Deloitte,
Okay.
Delilah
And Mrs.
Deloitte,
Deloitte,
and
Delilah
Delilah
Deloitte.
Deloitte.
Delilah Deloitte.
What
Wait,
a
that's
delight.
choice.
Yeah,
The delightful Delilah
Delilah
Deloitte.
Deloitte.
exactly right. Yeah, there's a reason Delilah is a little cagey sometimes.
Can you tell us a little bit more about Mrs. Deloitte?
Yeah, what's she like?
So Mrs. Deloitte is, she came from a lower status as well. So it's kind of like bad luck. It could be said bad luck since her husband has now halfway died, and
Sorta dead.
And now she's dealing with like, oh man, I just made it out, but now I can't. And so she's very concerned with trying to reach this daywalker status, right? This idea of like being a part of the royal landed gentry and like, not a commoner. And so she's really concerned with that because that was something she grew up with. And that happens when you're in systemic poverty, right? Like when you have to try to push so hard, you become focused on that rather than recognizing there's like being able to engage with other parts because you have to survive. Right?
How does that manifest itself in her behavior or like this constant stress, right? That's
Yeah.
what you're saying.
Totally.
How does that show up? Like, what are things that Mrs. Deloitte does that might let us know, give us a little glimpse into her old brain pan?
Great. Yeah. So Mrs. Deloitte, she has, there's a couple like, a lot of passive aggressive kind of, stand up straight, you have to forgive me. I have a costume designer who'd be a part of this. So like, I wouldn't know, the full names for these, but, your heavy curtain dress needs to be pressed, right? Or your bum roll isn't quite rolled enough, that kind of stuff, right? Course it up a little bit
You
more.
need to put more tampons in there?
Yeah, right. Like if you're gonna be Batman, like really lean
But
into
for
it.
serious, you do though. You're always gonna need more.
Yeah. So it's a lot of those types of things, but there's others.
Controlling.
Very
like-
controlling. Very
okay.
controlling. But there's quirky things too, which make her a little bit of like a fun character, even though we're not gonna like her a ton. And this is all circumstantial, right? She's not a bad person. She just, has gone through these things. So for one, she has this very weird tick of once a month shearing a sheep on her own and then taking that to a wheel and spinning it and then creating a blanket that then has some sort of cross stitch in it that says "Be better." Very passive aggressive, right? and then every
What does she do with the Be Better blanket?
well, she gives it to her daughters, of course.
Is it a different daughter every month?
Yes.
Like the daughter that needs to be better the most?
Yeah, actually, it stopped. Once you get married, you stop getting these blankets.
How many blankets does Delilah have?
Well, Delilah's been married for a little while, so she has a lot less now.
So who has the most blankets?
Does Betty have the most be best blankets?
Unfortunately, Betty
Be
has
better.
the most because she's so strong-willed, and Mrs. Deloitte gives Susan a pass because she's young and she's still figuring herself out. But Betty's just been this like doesn't give a shit kind of person, and Mrs. Deloitte's like, be better all the time, be better. So it's it really this is why they have big houses because they have to store those blankets.
Hope chests.
Yeah,
they
hope
all
chests.
have multiple hope chests, not just one hope chest. And every single hope chest is filled with Be Better blankets.
Yep, that's what's inside of those. So, and then there's like one other. There's one other tick where she says apparently all the time when she's really mad, which is a very weird. But it's like I don't know. It's an oddly kind of. She's like apparently, and it's very like. Yeah, it's that's like there's a lot of the passive aggressive controlling things and the Be Better blanket, but the apparently is like a tick almost.
Okay.
Okay.
I have another question.
Yeah.
So this book famously opens with one of the most famous first lines in all of literature, but I just can't remember it right now. What's the first line of this book of Pride and Prejudice?
So the first line of this book, it's Betty's line, and Betty's line is why must I marry Donald? his his hair is not real. It's a very
Oh my
specific
God,
thing.
it's so famous.
So, I forgot how good that first line is.
It's
Why?
really good. Jane Austen, genius.
And
Yeah.
it's like when Keira Knightley did it, it was such a nice delivery. She went, "Why must I marry Donald? His hair is not,
not
real.
real."
Which
Why must I marry Donald?
Which made
His
me-
hair is not real."
So, which made me very self-conscious when I saw that film. When I was a child, I suddenly was like, "Oh, Keira Knightley likes hair. Okay, I'm into it. Like, gotta take care of my hair."
Likes a hairy man.
Yeah.
Donald is standing outside her front door with a sign that says, "To me, you are perfect," and she's just like, "To me, you are not perfect. Your hair is not,
Not
real."
real.
It's very depth. There's a lot of
Why must I marry Donald?
lots of depth here.
So wait, so she doesn't marry Donald, right?
Well, okay, so we can't skip ahead, right?
Yeah, don't
Oh,
skip
So
ahead.
this
Sorry,
is,
sorry.
This is the challenge associated with this. She's supposed to marry Donald. That's like
Okay.
their families have talked about it. There's a dowry figured out. Like there's all this bit. And so on this walk where she's out with her sister Susan, some storm clouds are on the horizon. It's kind of like, oh, well, let's get this walk
Storm
in.
is coming.
A storm is coming, and we got to get this walk in.
I don't know if you know this, but the storm is a metaphor.
Psst, psst, you guys, there's a storm over there.
The storm is a metaphor.
So as they kind of walk through, there's some suitors around or potential suitors who are looking at Susan, which gets Betty all kind of like, wow, motherfuckers, like she's too young. Don't like hold your horses, yo. Let her live her life.
Very
She doesn't need any
progressive.
more of those fucking be better blankets. Those are getting annoying. And so as they're walking though across the way, across this kind of like as they're walking around, and I should mention this town isn't less so much a town as in like a main street or anything like that. It's just a weird large garden where everyone exists, and they're just always walking around this large garden.
They're
Sounds
daily
right.
constitutional, of course.
Yeah, which I think that's a part of the Regency thing. So
Yes,
just like keep going
absolutely.
with it.
Oh yeah.
So as they pass a hedge and they kind of look across the way over a fountain, we see this dashing gentleman
Okay.
who is kind of like he's definitely making an entrance, right? Like he's walking through this trellis that has a bunch of ivy over it, and he kind of like sweeps with his hands, like opens up the ivy and like presents himself, and that's like as Betty sees him and goes, oh, hubba 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 what, which is the second famous line in this book, right?
Ah, yes.
Yeah. So
That's really like it gets to the very heart of the human condition.
totally. And so
Hubba 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 what?
yeah, and so Betty then turns to Susan and goes, Susan, who is that hunka regentness? And Susan goes, well, I heard that's a guy named Mr. Darcy. And Mr. Darcy, apparently awkward weirdo, and I don't know much about him. I hear he might have land, but not as much as Donald. So keep going with that. And
Remind me who played Mr. Darcy?
Mr. Darcy is going to be played because I'm pitching this to Emma, right?
Oh yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
dream casting.
Dreamcasting. So Mr. Darcy is going to be played, Dreamcasting for a 2022 production.
Okay.
Because we have to get through pandemics.
Yeah. Very reasonable estimate.
Yeah, which Emma and I inside of this elevator, we're not comfortable with each other. We're both very nervous. It's a
You're
small
both
space.
facing the walls.
Yeah, we're talking. I'm talking at a walled mirror at her.
Yeah, and you're definitely you're both wearing face masks.
Yeah.
Duh.
I
Well, and
assume.
if I'm getting into an elevator, I'm wearing a face shield too. I'm going all
Oh
in.
wow, you're
Yeah.
going full in. Yeah.
So who would play Mr. Darcy would be
Dream casting.
Dreamcasting. It's gonna be. It's gonna be Matt Damon.
Okay. All right. Great.
Okay.
Great.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Cool. Cool.
And it's-
Cool. So also,
Cool.
while we're on the subject, what about the Deloitte sisters?
Yeah.
So we've got the three sisters. So who's Susan?
So Susan is played by I have to be Audrey Plaza.
Okay.
Okay,
Great.
Aubrey.
Great.
Yeah.
Aubrey Plaza. Aubrey
Great.
Plaza.
And then Delilah. Hey there, Delilah.
Delilah is going to be played by. You'll have to forgive me. I'm really bad at names. She is the main character for *Handmaid's Tale*.
Elizabeth Moss.
Elizabeth Moss.
Elizabeth Moss.
Great. And then
Yeah.
who is our Betty?
and Betty is played by
It's a big decision.
it
Important.
is a big decision. I think Betty should be played by Laura Lyle. I'm gonna give it to her because
Lauren
she's like,
Lyle.
Lauren Lyle,
Lyle.
that's right.
Granoli.
Granoli deserves this chance.
yeah, I
It
think so too.
does. Great.
Yeah,
Quite an age gap between Mr. Darcy and Betty.
Yeah,
Well-
but it's Regency. Get into it.
It's Regency.
unfortunately, yeah.
Just
So we have
go
to-
with it.
Just go with it. That's right.
You know what? I'm gonna go ahead and give you a be better blanket for that, Julie.
So they see each other, and Betty's like all into Mr. Darcy, really enjoys like his visage, and Susan's like, well, he's not that great, and you're already called for, so I'm gonna go because you're apparently not gonna leave this town garden that we're hanging out in, so I'm gonna go.
Town Garden.
Town garden.
Yeah.
Betty goes over to Mr. Darcy. Mr. Darcy's first name, by the way, is just John.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
John
No,
Darcy.
I got that wrong. It's not John. That's the Colonel. John. It's actually Chad.
Chad Darcy.
Chad Darcy.
Chad Darcy.
Great.
So Betty goes over and starts talking to Chad, Mr. Darcy. And they're not on a first name basis yet. So he's like, oh, hello, Miss Deloitte, because he knows of her, Regency. And she's like, hello, Mr. Darcy. And then the storm starts rolling through as they're like making awkward jokes to each other. And they start running away to try and find something that will not let them get wet. And so they run to this weird kind of pantheon house that exists. That it could fit 6 families, but only houses 1 woman. No, it's actually just one. It's one gentleman who has decided that he's going to be a recluse for the rest of his life. So he
Are we talking like an estate? Like
yeah, massive
big
estate,
ass?
massive
Okay.
estate. Yeah.
What's the estate called?
The estate is called Notre Dame estate.
The Notre Dame estate. So they run towards the Notre Dame estate to escape the rain shower.
Yes.
Okay.
And as they get there, all the while they've been having a very in-depth conversation. Little parkour being thrown in there, some stuff like that. And so when they
That must be really hard in her fucking Empire waist dress. And
well, but what we realize though is that she is much more athletic than most people, because if she can do that in that dress, that's ridiculous.
It's all
Right.
the daily constitutionals, I assume.
Yes.
She's doing a lot of laps in that garden.
about around the town garden.
Yeah, around that time.
Hold on. If this is such an important scene, if we're getting to the Nostradamus estate, I need to pour myself another beer.
Excellent.
Yeah, let's wait for it. Really, we got to live in this one, because this is kind of seminal,
Iconic,
right?
yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah,
Very
iconic scene.
So they, they've known a little bit of each other, and obviously Betty just learned about Chad, and Betty was like, they were talking during their parkour session about how they feel about each other, and what their impressions are, and where they're going with their future. And there's a lot to be done. Like, it's a big garden. There was a lot to parkour over during this storm. And so the trouble, though, is that Chad Mr. Darcy is kind of like grating, and he's very sensitive, but he doesn't communicate very well. And Betty's like very strong-willed and really wants him to communicate, and he's not communicating. It's really, kind of frustrating, and there's obvious like tension and attraction that's there. And so the rain has just started to come down. We let the rain pour. Let the rain come down. They've gotten to this estate. Somewhere in the distance, this guy who lives in the Nostradamus estate was like, someone else is here, but I couldn't tell because this is too big. And then, Betty kind of looks at Mr. Darcy and says, I just wish you'd tell me you loved me and to take me. And Miss Darcy's like, well, that's a little aggressive. I didn't think you wanted all that, but I do love you. And, we could make a life, but I don't know what that looks like because I don't have any money. And so suddenly...
Wait. Pause.
Yeah.
Chad Darcy. Poor?
He's poor. His family's not.
Got it.
Oh,
Go on.
Was he disowned or something?
He was disowned. He was
Okay.
disowned.
Why was he disowned?
He was disowned because he mistakenly sold lambs to the butcher that were supposed to be used for wool, and so the lambs went to slaughter, and instead they didn't have wool for the rest of their
So he's
days.
a poacher.
Well, he's just not very good in the sheep business.
Oh,
Okay.
I
Yeah.
see.
Okay.
Unfortunately, like that's a big deal.
So
That's
his
like,
parents were maybe kind of dickheads.
yeah, oh, totally.
Okay.
Totally, because I mean that's a relatively simple mistake if you're a little aloof, which Mr. Darcy is, and so
Aloof and poor, terrible combination.
I know,
Yeah.
but he still maintains his wardrobe, which makes it confusing.
Okay, so question: if Chad Darcy is one of our leads and Betty Deloitte is the other,
Yes,
is one of them proud and one of them prejudiced, or are they both? Like, what is the deal? How does the title work in with those two characters?
great question. So
Thank you.
with
Thank you.
yeah, this is the challenge because Betty is proud. Betty is like this proud person who is like, I am my own individual. I don't know why I should have to succumb to these ridiculous cultural and structural like expectations of women being subservient to men. And it doesn't make any sense. It all
Yeah.
fucking sucks.
It does fucking suck.
So
does suck.
she's like, she's looking, this Donald guy she's supposed to marry just is going to put her in that place in a way that it just doesn't feel good for her, doesn't feel right, which it isn't. And Mr. Darcy, on the other hand, he's a little prejudiced, and not because of like towards Betty for any particular reason, but he is bought into the system, and so it's hard for him to see beyond those systemic issues and that structure. So as he's kind of confessing his love for this person who is at the moment of a higher status than he is because of his disownment. Like he doesn't want to bring her down because he's like, I am lowly and I am prejudiced against lowly people because I used to not be lowly and now I am lowly and so I'm prejudiced against me.
Wow.
And like it's a very complex kind of
It's got it all.
yeah,
A little
it's really
self-hating.
yeah, it's a
Yeah.
very self-loathing scenario. Yeah, this is kind of why Chad is like not. He's he's hard to talk to. He's a little down. Got a bit of an Eeyore thing going on.
Yeah.
So that was a big scene that happens within 15 minutes.
Oh wow.
Yeah, they
Oh
met
my
each other,
God.
parkoured, and then had this big moment.
As usually happens after parkour. Let's be real.
I mean, you've got the blood pumping,
There's
emotions run high.
endorphins, absolutely.
Yeah.
So the storm breaks, and they go their separate ways. But as they're leaving, Betty turns not Betty, it's Mr. Darcy, turns around and says, Betty, or pardon me, Miss Deloitte. And Betty turns around and goes, what? And he goes, I am sorry for my brashness. I would like us to be together. I don't know how, I don't know when, but I would like that. And Betty goes and curtsies, and then turns around and walks away, and then stifles. Yeah, she thwarps, and she
No response from Betty though. No comeback. Just like, all right, bud.
Well, then she turns back around and says, "Meet me here tomorrow at noon
At the Notre Dame
at the
estate.
Notre Dame estate."
The
Because
Notre Dame.
Yeah,
So it's
A cross between
combination of
Notre Dame and
Nostradamus.
Nostradamus.
yeah, Notre Dame.
Okay, Notre Dame.
Nostradamus.
Notre Dame, exactly.
So it's like the French Irish, the fighting French Irish.
Yes, exactly.
And that weirdly, they can see the future.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Well, that's how that clarity happened so fast, right? Because they were on the estate. That's 15 minutes. It's hard to confess your love to somebody after just
it's a lot.
realizing it.
That's intense.
Yeah.
So
But the
you're
pu-
saying it's a psychic hotspot.
Psychic hotspot. Yeah.
Okay.
A vortex.
Yeah. There's there's the perception filter for the future has been lifted when you go there.
Amazing. All right.
So Betty goes to Donald immediately, says the wedding's off. And Donald
Deuces, Donald.
Deuces, she goes deuces, and Donald's like, he says something very crass, and not very appropriate, and kind of implies that Betty's going to live in the mud. And Betty says, well, at least I will know love, and I will know heartfelt relationship, and and partnership versus subservienceness and being yours. And so, fuck
Okay,
you.
so Kira Knightley. Wait, no, I'm sorry. Who was playing Betty?
Granoli.
Granoli.
Lauren
right.
Lyle.
Granola, yeah.
So Granoli would say, I may live in the mud, but at least I will know love and not
Exact-
subservience.
Exactly.
Like that?
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly how she did it.
That's
So-
also an iconic moment.
It
Yeah.
is iconic.
Yeah. So Donald just turns around and actually just asks. He just gets another. It's like he realizes he's missing love, and like there's a much more complex kind of moment happening here.
Does he though?
Well, but here's the thing: is that he sees it, he knows it, but he's just such a piece of shit. He doesn't realize that just him getting another wife is not going to actually fill the hole in his heart. He just keeps going from one thing to another.
So another
Yeah.
wife. So was he married before?
No,
No,
he's
because
just
now
gonna-
he can't marry Betty.
Oh, you
Yeah.
mean like a different fiance?
Yeah, because to him it didn't matter if it was Betty or not. It was just Betty. He was just like, that's my person. So now he's just going to
So
find somebody
he
else.
was in love.
For what he thought love should be.
Oh, he thought
Oh,
he
okay.
was in love.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah. So then Mr. Darcy, we don't actually know what happens because he lives in a black box. We don't know his side of the story very well, but we do know that he sent a letter to his parents and said, "Be better," and then he.
Did it come with a Mrs. Deloitte original? Did he send it with a blanket?
But he didn't. No, he couldn't. Not yet, because Mrs. Deloitte has to be introduced to him, and that's going to be another that's kind of a little outside the scope of the story.
Okay.
But he does send a spool of wool, just to
Just a little note to his parents, like, I get it now.
I get it.
I've changed.
Yeah,
You'll notice that this wool does not have any blood on it.
yeah. This was harvested, or whatever. Anyway,
Not shorn from a corpse.
yeah, not yeah, exactly.
Great.
So then 24 so Betty, there's a couple scenes with Susan and Delilah because they Betty has to communicate her what she's doing, and she wants Delilah to know that even though she's in this marriage, she should try to find love with her husband or whatever it might be, but just know that she is a person and is of equal weight and importance. And she also conveys this to Susan to say, hey, you're going to be someone's going to try to put you together with someone, but you don't have to do that if you don't want to. And then there's a scene with Mrs. Deloitte where Betty tries very, very hard to have a heartfelt conversation, but literally the only thing Mrs. Deloitte does is say, apparently, and then opens a hope chest and pulls out a blanket and just throws it at her. Just keeps happening left and right.
God.
It's like she's been through Mrs. Deloitte's been
Mrs.
through a lot.
Deloitte's been through some shit, but that does not excuse this ratty ass behavior.
Yeah,
Not
that
at
is
all.
emotional abuse.
It is.
And a waste
is.
of wool.
Truly, think about all those people that could keep warm.
Yeah.
So Betty then and Mr. Darcy find each other the next day at noon. Mr. Darcy has actually come with a vicar, not a ricker. And he says, "Hey, vicar, we want to get married," and so they do. But it's a little in secret; no one knows about it. And then Mr. Darcy actually has to. So he's like, "Well, let's go meet out. We're going to meet at this one place. So I'll meet you there. You go, Betty, and then I'll meet you there." And then as Mr. Darcy's getting his stuff together, apparently his rival shows up into the town garden.
His rival, Donald, or a different rival?
A different rival. It's not even
Okay.
Donald. It's just some random character. We're just like, whoa, there's this weird family feud going on.
Oh, so like an unrelated family feud.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so then suddenly, and Darcy's best friend, who also just kind of shows up, and we're like, what's going on? Oh, Darcy's best friend is, his name is,
Is this the Colonel?
yes, this is the Colonel.
Okay.
So the Colonel is he says, don't worry about this. I'll take care of this. But then this rival's name is Danny.
And
Danny,
Colonel what? I'm sorry.
Colonel Mustard. And where do you think
Perfect.
that came from? And so
This
so
is
Colonel,
amazing. I just learned so much about Clue.
Yep.
so Colonel Mustard and Danny end up getting into a fight, and then
Danny.
but Darcy doesn't want this fight to happen, and he's like, guys, be chill, and then Danny ends up killing Colonel Mustard with a fucking candlestick. It's ridiculous.
In the
Where does he kill him?
in the observatory.
In the garden town.
In the garden town observatory.
Okay.
Town. What was it? Town
garden.
Town garden.
Town garden. In
Yeah.
the town garden.
And so suddenly, apparently Danny's a big deal, and the colonel is Colonel Mustard of all. He's fought in wars and done expeditionary work, and so now like
And seasoned many a
And
hot
he,
dog.
and I mean, also, invented a condiment. Let's be real.
truly,
The best
The
condiment.
Yeah.
best condiment.
well, really appropriated from another culture, but we should just
Yes.
maybe.
But I mean,
acknowledge that.
so
Always.
with many British colonels.
True. Well, and so suddenly Chad is now very upset because he just lost his best friend and condiment maker, Colonel Mustard, and then grabs a length of rope and starts to just whip Danny to the point where he accidentally kills Danny with this rope. It's very intense.
I was gonna say that's got to be a pretty intense scene right there.
Yeah, and here's the thing: Danny actually comes from a very he is definitely landed gentry, right? Like he comes from a very prominent family, and Darcy doesn't. So Darcy has to try and run away, and in running away, accidentally, he tries to get him off his trail by saying, "I'm dead," but then suddenly everyone thinks he's dead, and now that story goes back to Betty, and Betty thinks he's dead, and she comes back to town, ends up killing herself. He's actually not dead, so he kills himself too.
So they do a
Whoa!
hold on. They do a full Romeo and Juliet.
Yeah, it's crazy how this comes back around. There was
Man.
there was a lot happening in this
Wow.
movie. Yeah, there's a reason why it's a miniseries, guys.
Twists, turns, plot twists, like all of it.
But,
It's all there.
Okay, so I don't want to be insensitive,
Sure.
but tell me about their death scene.
Yeah, so it was really sweet.
Okay.
So, I giggle because I'm just uncomfortable by how loving it was, Chad is
Played by Matt Damon.
played by Matt Damon. Yep. Chad is so he just let it was like he thought he was dead. And then, so she was then, that's just the word got out. So then she tries to kill herself, right? But it was more it was this, hold on, I might have kind of mixed this up.
Okay.
Because, she thought he was dead. And so she was like, well, I can't live without him, but what's going on? And
Sure.
yada, yada. And so it was this moment of,
Reasonable.
I'm going to do this thing, right? And she's laying out on at the Notre Dame estate. In one of the many rooms that no one ever visits because it's just so fucking huge. Why does one person live there? And she's hiding there, and she is about to take a hemlock poison, right? So she's like, I'm going to do this, and this is really rough.
She and we have this in common.
Yeah. And then as she's about to drink it, she says, "No, you know what? I should take a nap. I should sleep this off. I really got."
You know what?
About this."
Sometimes that urge for a nap is just undeniable. It just comes on you.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So she was like, "You know what? This is maybe too much. I'm gonna second guess myself. I'm gonna sleep here in this random room in Notre Dame estate." Well, Mr. Darcy comes back and goes to this room and sees her sleeping, but sees the poison vial next to her and thinks,
100% Romeo and Juliet.
thought, oh my God, she killed herself. That sucks. Man, why'd she do? Oh, well, I guess I said I was dead. I guess our love is really strong. That's nice. But oh no. And so he sees there's poison left and goes, well, I'll join her. This is too hard for me. And so he drinks it. And as he drinks it, she yawns and wakes up and he goes, oh, fuck.
Have this.
And she goes, well, you drink it all and you're dying and I'm glad you're alive. And this is a lot going on. And he goes, I know, and he doesn't get the full sentence out. He's a little bit nervous and hemlock killed him. So wasted moments. Be sure to be direct and succinct with people, everybody. And so he dies in her arms, which is horrifying because now he's died twice for her, in her mind. She's lost him twice.
Yikes.
And
That's
so
that
then
deep.
She actually doesn't. I said she kills herself, but she actually doesn't kill herself.
Oh.
What ends up happening is
A common misconception.
Well, so the laird of the Notre Dame estate finally walks into that fucking room and then sees these two random people, and he ends up killing her with a revolver. By the way, the laird is named Mr. Plum, and that room is the conservatory.
Perfect.
Is he? What's his profession?
Oh, he's a professor.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, Professor Plum.
And he kills her in the conservatory.
With a revolver.
With a revolver.
Yeah. And so he then realizes who it is, and like he didn't want to be charged with murder and like all these things. So he actually just
Too late.
Well, he just gave her the result. He put the revolver in her hand and made it look like she killed herself.
And this is before CSI, so yikes.
Yeah, no one would know, right? Like they'd be like, "Oh, well, I see it in her hand. She must have done it,
God,
right?"
Pride and
Because
Prejudice.
unfortunately, this society thinks very little of women, and it's very unfortunate. So like,
Hence
You
the
know what?
prejudice.
yeah, dude.
Truth.
So yeah, so it's a very there's a lot happens
Yeah.
in this
Man,
book.
I went on a journey.
Did.
Yeah.
I'm very proud of you.
Yeah.
And not at all prejudiced.
Prejudiced.
Yeah.
All right.
So that was
so
fun.
Emma says, "Well, thank you. I'll have to think about that." And then off she walks
Yeah.
with her mask on. We're not going to tell. Usually, this is the part when, having done a Maria Solved, it was a delight. Also, once having done one just as like a party game
Just for fun
without
back
a
in the Disney.
microphone. And it was really fun. This is usually the point when Julie and I would tell you what actually happens, but we're not going to.
Nope.
Because we're going to watch it.
I'm
I
pretty
will tell you, however,
it doesn't end like I said.
that Elizabeth Bennet's
Oh.
nickname is Lizzie, not Betty. But
Well, yeah.
But you got Elizabeth
you got
right.
Elizabeth.
Yeah, that was
Deloitte, way off.
Deloitte.
Yeah, I thought of the consulting firm.
Yeah. Oh, I was with you 100%.
That's how nerdy I am.
Naturally. Naturally.
Bennett, that makes more sense.
That was a Deloitte. I
Oh!
enjoyed every moment of it. I can't wait for you to meet Chad Darcy. It's gonna be great. You know, the funny thing is, you also some of the like plot points you were pulling are things that happen in
Kinda close.
other Jane Austen novels. Like the mom you described is actually a lot more like the mom from Sense and Sensibility. And like the number of sisters is the number of sisters from Sense and Sensibility. And there's like a going to the Grand Manor is a Northanger Abbey thing, and like it was interesting. It was interesting. I enjoyed the Clue references.
Yes, the Clue references were my favorite.
So we have to adjust. So when we inevitably make the T-shirt, the back is going to say Austen Austen Volume 1. It's Regency. Go with it. And the front is just going to be a design of a blanket on which is lovingly hand stitched. Be better. So I learned to cross stitch and have mostly forgotten how to do it, but I could relearn it. I might have to get a blanket and fucking cross stitch Be Better into it just for you, Janine. Yeah, I did that. Listeners, Julie is holding up a thing that I made for her and Neil one Christmas, which is a cross stitch that says, "God damn it, Neil," with some hearts around it. So it'll just say, "Be better."
Be better.
better. That shit was so
blanket.
funny.
The blanket was definitely my favorite.
It was, and you know what?
I can see it.
I can see it. I can see Jane Austen write, because Jane Austen writes a lot of like shitty moms who are very overbearing and neurotic. I can see her writing a character that's like, "Here, my poor nerves, my nerves, take this blanket, my nerves," like that. My
I
poor
do-
nerves.
I do feel like I didn't know how to end it, which is why I went Romeo and Juliet.
Well, naturally.
I mean,
You know
where
what
to
else
go.
you got right? Number walks. There's so many walks.
lots of walks
So many
around
walks.
Town Garden.
Yeah.
That's dead on. The storm obviously is the staple in the Keira Knightley one, although there is a very important rainstorm in the plot of Pride and Prejudice that I don't actually remember whether or not the Keira Knightley movie includes it. Also, I will say this. There are 5 Bennett sisters.
Oh wow.
None of them is named Delilah or Susan.
Okay.
but there are multiple of them. Also, none of them are married.
Was her dad softly dead?
No.
Half dead?
No. Well, you know what?
He
Up
was-
to interpretation.
He was he's phoning it in.
He's distant.
They are
He really loves Lizzie, but can't be bothered with the stupid, like, trying to get my daughters married. Like, he just doesn't have time for the actual realities of his life as a father of 5 daughters.
he's very funny and charming and not engaged in the way that he should be. There is a young and carefree and charming younger sister. So that is
I don't think Kitty's charming.
Oh, what? I mean, we're not supposed to, but the gentlemen do.
Oh, of course.
So
Kitty
they
grows
are-
up to be the mom knitting the Be Better blankets.
fuck.
Is what
The
Kitty's
Bennett
gonna do.
sisters are Kitty, Lydia. Lydia, by the way, is who I was talking about.
Oh, Lydia.
Lydia's the
That's
youngest.
right.
Lydia, Kitty, Mary, Lizzie, Jane. And our friend Brooke wrote a play about the Bennett sisters running away and getting shipwrecked on a deserted island. And the name of that play is Let's Eat Mary.
Let's eat Mary.
Because Mary is the fucking worst.
You know what? If I was ever when I was younger, if I was ever in a stage adaptation, I guarantee you that is the part I would.
Well, you would have been amazing. By Mary is the worst, I mean Mary is the best.
Her
Because
character is just such a sack of shit.
She is. She's the worst. She's the worst. You would have been so funny. I don't want to be a dick, but I was a Lizzie.
Yeah, no, I
Back
would
in
not
my
have been a
day.
Lizzie.
Back in the
I
day,
would
I was
definitely have been
definitely
Mary.
like the clever that one. That was me. And then I wasn't anymore.
And then I aged out.
And then I aged out and also stopped acting. You know.
Yeah.
Mr. Darcy's name is Fitzwilliam.
You never would have gotten
You could never have guessed it.
Although Fitzwilliam is an incredible name for a pet, just anybody.
That's a
Sure,
good
yeah.
idea.
Yeah.
Also, the name of the estate, the famous estate. They go to several estates, but the famous estate
The
is
biggin.
Pemberley.
Pemberley.
I've heard of that. Yeah,
Pemberley.
yeah.
Pemberley.
Pemberley.
Pemberley became a thing for Neil and I now. Anytime there's like a beautiful house somewhere, like we're watching a movie and there's an incredible house, whatever, we both go, Pemberley.
Pemberley. Pemberley.
Pemberley.
You know what? It sounds a lot like when we go fucking
Plumley.
Plumley. Who used to play for the Portland Trailblazers?
Yes.
Yes, that's what I thought.
Mason Plumley.
Plumley.
Anytime he would miss a shot, we'd always go, Plumley.
This is so. I should say, Julie and I both do genuinely enjoy basketball, but occasionally, because it's the longest sports season in all of existence, it feels like anyway, we have to amuse ourselves. So we just come up with nicknames and then shout things. Also, once I started a lengthy Twitter conversation with quite a number of people about who were the hottest basketball players. There are a lot of them.
Sure. I feel like there's a lot.
There was a
lot of
big
thoughts.
debate about whether or not LeBron James is hot. The answer is yes.
I agree
Yeah,
with
he's
that.
hot.
He's hot.
Yeah,
He's
dude.
hot.
He's really, I mean, like, he's a looker.
Yeah.
He is. He's not the hottest basketball player.
Speaking of the hottest basketball player, did you know that today is the 8-year anniversary of Mr. Damian Lillard's draft by the Portland Trailblazers?
I love that you put it that way because he is the hottest.
the hottest.
He's got those cheekbones. God damn.
And Stone Cold Assassin at the 3-point line.
He is. Lillard time. Now that we've thoroughly butched up the pod.
Yep.
We want to thank you for listening to this first episode of Sauced in Austen, Volume 1, Imbibe and Prejudice.
Imbibe and Prejudice.
The next time you hear us, we will begin by watching Episode 1. Janine is, I must say, unsure whether or not he's going to be able to watch with us. However, I would like to challenge him whether or not he can watch with us to watch sometime between now and when we finish it, because I am sure you all want to know his thoughts.
It is good too, dude. It's good.
Yeah. I mean,
And each episode is only an hour, so it's like if you're bored, you want to eat your dinner or whatever, pop one on.
Sure.
It's good.
I mean, in these days where I can watch 3 episodes of an hour-long, series, it really is not.
And there are only 6 of them, so it's not like a whole series, a season of Outlander. It's
Yeah.
shorter.
Totally. Yeah. see?
It's a delight. It's really fun. And then we'll watch a bunch of other things. So, if you want to watch along with us, you can do that. And you can keep up on what we're watching and when by following us on Facebook at facebook.com/podlandercast. You can follow us on Twitter at Podlandercast. You can follow us on Instagram by following me. I'm at Allison Chu, although I have to admit I don't post very often. And now I really don't post about the Drunk Cast because we don't ever meet in person anymore. But go ahead. Go look at photos of me from January being sad about, I don't know what, something. I was sad about something. You can support us on Patreon. The best perk on Patreon is you can join our Slack community, which is 30, flirty, and thriving, which is very active. Includes at the moment a lot of like Zoom happy hours that are being created by the people who are there. There's a watch along happening. There's like a community gathering once a week for people who feel like they need to have sort of a place of peace, which is what it's called. Some really cool social activism things happening. It's just the best. So you can do that by joining us through Patreon at patreon.com/PodlanderDrunkcast, where there are lots of levels with lots of perks. We want to thank all of our patrons who make it possible for us to do the show, which is a little bit expensive because we can't shut up. So our file sizes are huge.
Very large.
They're very large. So we want to thank all of our patrons, but especially, here we go. It's been a while.
How long is this list now?
We'll find out.
Oh my God.
Ann Gibson, Betsy English, Dr. J, Zena Perez, Stella Welch, Misty Ojepi, Kayla Regan, Amanda Newton, Jen Lander Drunklin, Trish McCrary, Lori McGuire, Katie Kirshner, Beth Locke, Kelsey Kemp, Denise Perkins, Madison Johnson, Brittany Holbert, Emily Day, Kelly Mazzella, Caitlin Reddick, Maureen McKiernan, Ashley Tegeson, Kristen, Rochelle Lefevre, The Other Janine, Amy Gustafson, Mary the Falling Statue, Shannon Duffy, Alicia Glynn, Liz Peniston, Philip Nacco, Heather Moore, Amanda Whitney Harrington, Chrissy Shively, Get Well Chrissy, Mary, Emma Lowfald, Samantha Smith, Jenna Polkowski, congratulations Jenna, Rachel Townsend, Steph Peterson, Tara Lucchino, Mary Lumpkin, Crystal Nanavati, Ruth McCormick, Kara Marlowe, Flourish Root, Friday Payton, Kathleen Moniz, Hi Mom. Kelly Bodden, Heather Robbins, Laura aka Viv Pickles, and our unofficial Slack den mom, Kiki the Wise. We want to thank you all so much for making it possible to do this show that we love so much. You're the best. And I guess that's it until you hear us next week talking about the first episode of A&E's Pride and Prejudice, starring Colin Firth, Jennifer Ale, the blonde whose name I never remember.
Laura Lyle.
Nope.
No, it's not Lauren Lyle. Lauren Lyle wouldn't have been a zygote.
A distant cousin of Helena Bonham Carter.
Oh my God, that's right. The gal that plays Safi in fucking Absolutely Fabulous
No. Mr. fucking Jane's guy. What the fuck is his name? Mr.
Bingham.
Mr. Bingham is somebody Bonham Carter.
But I do think that Lydia,
maybe she is. I don't know. I
think she might be related to Helena Bonham Carter because she was the gal that played Saffron on Absolutely Fabulous.
The person who plays the sister of, oh my God, this is because I've had 2 beers. What's her fuck? Who marries
Maybe we'll find
Mr.
out when we go
Collins.
watch the first
Anyway,
episode.
it's Lucy Davis who's in Wonder Woman and the British version of The Office and
Oh yeah,
Sabrina the Teenage Witch, or Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, rather, as a tiny girl, as like a 14-year-old. It's good. It's gonna be fun.
Yay!
Yay!
Content.
All right.
Something to distract ourselves from the imminent demise
Of the planet.
of everything.
Of everything. Bye.
Love you guys. Bye.
Bye.